I appreciate your time here on today's podcast, and obviously just want to touch base with you since last year. How are things going?
Oh, they're going great. Thank you for asking, and it's going to be a great year.
Yeah, Eddie, obviously great having you on. For me, I still get a little excited every time Nick tells me we got Eddie the Eagle on. So obviously being a goalie and, growing up watching you and the way you played and, obviously just being named to the Maple Leafs quarter team. What is it? QuarterCentury team. Is that an honor? Like, how do you feel about that? It's obviously pretty exciting and an honor.
Yeah, very exciting and definitely a huge honor. I mean, to be named part of that group is just amazing, and it made my day when a friend of mine sent that to me, and I was just like in awe and just so thankful and blessed. And I got to play in Toronto for the Leafs, and my time there was just so much fun. And it was something I look back on and just miss it a lot. Actually, miss the time there.
Eddie, I was going to ask, like, how did you find out? I guess you just referenced that your friend, your buddy told you, like, did you get anything for being on that QuarterCentury team?
Well, a lot of recognition, obviously, and obviously it's just a huge honor, but nothing really yet. But it's just for me, it's just an honor to hear that and see my name as part of that group.
Yeah, I agree. That's cool. And again, I guess maybe, with these current Maple Leafs and where they're at, we talk a lot about how Craig Berube comes in. He's got more of that old school mindset. It seems like he's a little more hard-nosed coach. You played for Pat Quinn, so I think that might be a comparable. Like, what was it like playing for Pat Quinn?
I loved Pat. He was amazing for me. He was old school, very traditional, and he just treated us like men. And for me, he really he just took me under his wing. It felt like, and he gave me a lot of space with my family. He allowed my son Dane to come out on the ice with the team, which was for me just I was so proud to see my boy out there practicing with the Leafs, and that was unheard of, right? It still is, and just a wonderful person. I didn't know he was ill at the time. I wish I had known. I would have said, a lot more and thanked him a lot more. I'm just thankful that I got to play for him. He's just a wonderful guy and a great coach.
Those were some absolutely legendary teams, Eddie. So Caberlet and McCabe also cracking the QuarterCentury rosters. There was 2 teams put out back over the weekend. How comforting was it to have that pairing in front of you, Caberlet and McCabe, man? They're legends too.
Yeah, for sure. I got very fortunate to play with a lot of great defensemen, and those 2 rank up there with the best that I play with. Chelios, Zubov, Hatcher. Those guys were all amazing for me, and those times that we played together, we were so close, to advancing to all of our dream to win a cup there in Toronto, and those guys were a big part of it. And unfortunately, we ran into some injuries at the wrong time of the year, but that's part of the game, right? But it was just it was a blessing to play on such a great team. Matt's is our captain. He was an amazing teammate, and I always look back at the times there with the fellows as one of the highlights of my career.
Yeah, I bet. Obviously, just getting to be in Toronto and be part of it. And something we're seeing now, I think, with a younger goalie and Joseph Woll and Anthony Stolarz have played so well this year. I don't know how much you followed it, but like, what advice would you take, to a younger goalie? Joseph Woll's not that old. Anthony Stolarz kind of been a backup majority of his career. Just playing in that Toronto market, being a goalie, like, how do you process that?
Yeah, for me, I was lucky. I was, a veteran, had dealt with, a lot of the difficulties as a young goalie in the league when I was in Chicago, dealing with the press and all the pressure and all that stuff. So when I came to Toronto, I'd already been through all that, and maybe had a better handle of those situations, dealing with the press and the pressure. I enjoyed, the pressure of trying to be my best every game. And at that time, I knew how to handle that, relish the pressure, love the fans. I remember when I first got there, the fans booed me probably for the first month or so, if I made one little mistake out there. But I was, like I said, I was okay with that. And, it made me want to work that much harder to please the fans and show them what I could do. And you just take it one day at a time. That's all you can do is one day at a time, and be thankful for the opportunity you have to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, the hockey mecca of the world. It's an opportunity. It's an honor, and you just try to take it one day at a time would be my suggestion, and just enjoy it. Have fun, and enjoy the fans, enjoy your teammates, enjoy being there at the arena, and try not to put too much pressure on yourself. Yeah, you want to do great, of course you do, but you just got to take it one day at a time and do your best, and that's all you can do. You just play, one shift at a time. Don't play the scoreboard, and just do your best and love what you're doing.
Here's a big question for you, Eddie. How would Eddie Belfour fare in the modern day social media era?
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure. We were very lucky, our era. We got to go out and hang out with the fans and have fun after the games with them. They enjoyed it. We loved it. And, you go out for a few pops and, enjoy your time with the fans. And they loved it. And, telling stories and hearing their side of things. And, they're just so into the game and into the guys. You can't do that anymore. And I feel sorry for the guys that, you can't go and participate with the fans. And I'm sure the fans miss it too. But at the end of my career, I started noticing the social media stuff, and it can get you in a lot of trouble, obviously. And people can make up things and make you look really bad. And it's sad that happens.
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely changed. I think I kind of lived both, right? You were in that generation where there's no pictures, no last names, and then to a point where you couldn't go anywhere. So that being said, you obviously played through kind of, for so many years. Did you ever cross paths with Craig Berube? He's a guy that is just loved here, and I think he's building the team to be a playoff team, and he was a guy that wore on his sleeve when he played. He was a mean guy to play against. I had the chance to play with him in St. Louis. He was our assistant, but did you cross paths with him at all when you were playing the NHL?
We didn't play together, but of course we played against each other. And I love the tough guys, always have. They were always my best friends on my teams. And, they're always the most loyal, committed guys to the team, and would go to bat for everybody. And, they're just heart and soul of every team. And I just love those guys and that determination and the courage that they have to bring it every game and go out there and fight for your teammates. I love those kind of guys, and they're heart and soul type of guys, and they want the best for everybody. And, Craig's the same way. And, he's got, a cup under his belt. I was so happy to see him, do that. And he's going to bring, in my opinion, more structure, defensive style game, which you need to win. You got to have that foundation, and he brings that to the table. So happy to see him there, and definitely wish him and the team all the best. And it would be awesome to see the Cup back in Toronto for sure.
Well, I was going to ask you, piggyback off that. So we're at the 41 game mark, exactly halfway through this 82 game slate. They're 26-13-2, but that's been the big story, is sort of the process and how different this team looks and playing that tight checking brand. What is like the prototypical winning ingredient for you when you look at a team, like in terms of a prototype for winning in the Stanley Cup playoffs look like? Is it that type of style that the Leafs are playing?
You got to have that grit, that defensive foundation, and Craig's going to put that in place for the guys, and that'll give the team confidence. And, when you have two goalies playing really well, at some point, I'm a firm believer you got to pick one guy going into playoffs, and you got to ride that guy. I don't know of too many cases where you can win the Cup with two guys. And of course, for myself, I always loved, carrying that weight and playing all the games. You get into the groove on a roll, and for me to get into that groove, get on that roll, we always had that defensive style system in front of me, and everybody was committed 110% to it. Mike McDonald, Brett Hall in Dallas when we won the Cup, they were committed to playing defense too. They probably sacrificed a little bit of their offensive abilities and gave up, some of their points to do it. But hey, we won the Cup because those guys sacrificed. And you got to have your top guys sacrificing a little bit of the offense to play more defense and be there in situations where you need them to be, and back check and put that backside pressure on. When you're playing defense, we needed that, and we got it from our horses in Dallas, and we got rewarded for it. And I believe that Craig will put that into play, and I'm sure he's pushing for it right now. You can see, in the games that they've been playing, that it seems like they're more committed to that, and that's a huge important part to doing well in the playoffs. That and that grit. You got to have that grit.
Yeah, I think that's something that's so important, right? I think that's always the argument here. And I think something in the game that just hasn't changed. You talk about when you guys won the Cup versus now, it seems like having players buying into that commitment, and something that I talk about a lot with this Leafs team, it's an ongoing topic of, who's going in, trade deadlines, things like that. But, for you, when you had those winning teams, I think it was built around culture. I think when you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, is that something you think that Craig Berube has brought to this team now?
Yeah, definitely. Culture means everything. That commitment to playing that defensive style, that foundation. When you have like-minded guys that are working for that same goal, their mission to win the Cup, and you bring that culture to the table. Yeah, it might not happen, right away overnight, but you look at what Bob Gainey did in Dallas. He brought the culture needed to win a Cup in 93, 94 when Dallas moved, or when Minnesota moved to Dallas, and we won the Cup in 99. Yeah, it took a few years, but each year he added to that culture, bringing in some former Montreal Canadian guys who he believed in that culture. Obviously, that's where he come from, and he tried to choose the guys that had that culture from other organizations. And I was just blessed to be part of that team and, fulfill a dream of winning the Cup. So I hope that that'll continue there in Toronto. And I think you got the right guy behind the bench.
No doubt. You were one of our favorites in the Pat Quinn era for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Just to wrap, I mean, what will you remember about your time in Toronto playing for Patty Quinn, and just looking across that roster, just absolute legends left and right? We had Matt Sundin on the show recently. Remember Alex Mogilny was on that team, Caberlet, McCabe, like the list goes on and on, right?
Yeah, it was an amazing team. We were so close. We were a tight-knit group, and we had so much fun together. Like I said, we just ran into some injuries at the wrong times of the year, and you got to be healthy going into the playoffs. You need everybody, on that same page. We had great culture. I just look back at it as a highlight of my career. It was so much fun, going to the rink and that excitement of the fans being on the edge of their seats every night. That's an amazing feeling. They want to win just like we do. And they're passionate about the game. Everybody's talking about the game, throughout Toronto, and that's what I wanted to be part of. It was very sad for me to leave there. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to finish my career there, and that's one of the things that was sad for me, was leaving. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to help the team win a Stanley Cup, and that would have been amazing. But it wasn't meant to be. But guess what? I had a lot of fun, made a lot of great friends, and I got to play for Pat Quinn, and I just love him.
Love that. Take the positives out of that. Eddie, always great catching up with you. Appreciate the time today.
Yeah, thanks, guys, and have a great day.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Roseau. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.